All I can say is, wow, this is just fantastic. If you think about how far we've come, this is just marvelous. And I hope you're all looking forward to today. We have something in the region of 420 delegates here today, representing close to 300 companies and organizations. This really is a national movement to try and put physical activity at the heart of the population. So let's first of all say welcome to everybody. And by the way, our keynote speaker, Anna Soubry, is here. Welcome, Anna. There's no doubt that increasing levels of physical activity is one of the most cost-effective solutions to improving public health and well-being. Most of you will be aware of the recent Lancet study, which worryingly found that physical inactivity now causes as many deaths across the world as smoking, accounting for 1 in 10 deaths globally from diseases such as heart disease and cancer. Physical inactivity is now the 4th largest preventable cause of death in the world. The Lancet named Britain as the 3rd most inactive country in Europe, with an unbelievable 63% of adults not meeting even the most minimum levels of physical activity. That's a really shocking figure, and unfortunately, and rather ironically, the same position that the GB team finished in the medal tables at the Olympic Games in London. Such a massive success. It called the situation an inactivity pandemic, debilitating millions of people, and given what we know, the cost of obesity alone is projected to reach 50 billion a year by 2050. Essentially, this will bankrupt the National Health Service unless we do something about it. There is no doubt that if we want our children to have a National Health Service that is free at the point of use, then we simply have to act now. Today, the evidence for promoting a healthier and more active lifestyle has never been clearer. Both NICE and the latest report by the Chief Medical Officer state that physical activity can reduce the prevalence of chronic conditions such as type 2 diabetes, obesity, and strokes by up to 50%. Given the magnitude of the mental health problems that are currently being reported, that 1 in 3 people will experience mental health problems at one stage in their lives, it's also worth reminding us all of the significant psychological benefits that come from being physically active. Physical activity improves self-esteem, mood, and sleep quality, and reduces levels of anxiety and fatigue. This is not to mention the incredible social impact that physical activity and sport has every day in communities up and down the country. Now, I know that I'm largely preaching to the converted, but it's important to state the crucial role of sport and physical activity in building social cohesion within communities. Through local sports clubs, volunteering, community activities, and how this engages young people who might otherwise be involved in crime and antisocial behavior. Exercise of all forms delivers so many positives at such a little cost that it is my fundamental belief that sport and physical activity must be given national priority status. After such an incredible summer of sport, and given the unparalleled success and enthusiasm of the Olympic and Paralympic Games, we must build on this and deliver what no other country has managed to deliver so far as host nation, and that is a lasting health legacy. It's so important that we achieve this by succeeding in embedding an active lifestyle into the DNA of communities around the country. So how do we do this? How can we actually embed an active lifestyle into the DNA of our nation? What I'd like to do is to challenge our speakers and everybody in the room to really think about how this can be achieved. We will hear from Dave Stalker, our CEO, shortly, who will take us through the context with which the sector operates and how it has changed. But before he does, I think it's important for us all to think about how we can actually increase physical activity in real deliverable projects. Let's just quickly look at the role of schools first. There's recently been legitimate concerns about the levels of sport and exercise within schools. As many as you will know, 9.8% of our children that enter primary school are obese at the time that they enter. By the time they leave, 18.7% of our children are clinically obese. That's quite frankly unacceptable. So we have to ensure that our children are educated in the benefits of physical activity and are encouraged to live healthy and active lives from an early age. So how can we specifically engage, for example, girls to start and then continue being active into adulthood? Here's an interesting question. Should we be measuring the health indicators of our school children as we measure their academic indicators? Something for us to consider. Let's consider the medical community. As we know, exercise is by far the most cost-effective and beneficial medicine that exists. It's far better than many pills and potions and encourages, in addition, all-round healthy behaviors. Over 835,000 people visit the local GP practice every day. So should we be incentivizing GPs to prescribe physical activity through the National Outcomes Framework? Just worth noting, interestingly enough, that 1 million people a day visit our sector. What is the role of research? It is, of course, critical that we continue to build the evidence base for physical activity. We're a young sector, and the specific medical benefits for certain chronic conditions have only recently been fully realized. How can we ensure that resources spent on research are translated effectively into action and improvements on the ground and don't just sit in people's cupboards as a fantastic piece of research? How can we best communicate these messages to those that are least receptive and therefore logically most often in most need? What about the role of employers and large brands? How can we challenge employers around the country, both public and private, large and small, to take the lead on encouraging their staff to be healthy and active? Large brands, in addition, have an incredible insight into consumers, and it's surely incumbent on us to take advantage of this knowledge and how to modify behavior to embed physical activity into our communities. In my view, the days of central governance are largely over. The localism agenda is here, and it's about time. We can no longer expect the government to solve all our problems, nor do we want them to be over-intruding into our lives. It is therefore more important than ever for local employers to support their local authorities and play a leading role in encouraging their staff, their customers, and their communities to be more active. Finally, we all know how important that digital technology has become in everybody's lives, but especially in our children's. So how can we use technology to tackle access issues and increase participation in sport and physical activity amongst the most inactive by making it as easy to access clubs, facilities, and jogging in the park as it is to book a train ticket online? Today provides a great opportunity for all of us to think more innovatively about these important areas and really challenge ourselves and challenge our expert speakers to move beyond the conventional wisdom. Let's really make the most of today's unique event and work together to develop a robust plan to get more people more active more often. Now, I'm just about to hand over to Dave Stalker, our wonderful CEO. But before he will take you through the rebranding process and then excitingly unveil the new organization's name. But before I do that, it's a reminder really to people from our sector who are in the room. I remember 5 years ago, I opened our summit, and the first thing I talked about was the role of physical activity in public health. That was 5 years ago. Since then, our sector has come a really long way, which is demonstrated by the array and caliber of speakers that we have here today. I have to say, I'm immensely proud of the journey that this sector has made and the transformation it is making, and I'd like to sincerely thank all of you in the room that have been involved. It's an incredibly important time. We've got a long way to go, and I look forward to continuing to work with you all to embed physical activity into the DNA of our society. Thank you very much, and I'll hand over to Dave Stalker.